The cage and the craving. Jackson opened his eyes. The light above him was cold and green. His body felt heavy like he had been underwater for hours. He tried to move, but his arms were locked, his ankles too. He looked around. He wasn't on Earth anymore. The walls around him were alive, glowing with blue veins that pulsed like a heartbeat. Strange symbols floated in the air. His cage wasn't made of steel. It was some kind of energy, shaped like a dome. He touched it, and his fingers burned. "What? Where am I?" Jackson whispered. A door opened on the other side of the room. 3 aliens entered. Tall, thin, skin like glass, eyes that had no pupils, just deep, glowing pits. They moved without sound, like shadows. One held a tablet, another had a silver needle. The third just stared at him like a child staring at candy. "Specimen is awake," said the one with the tablet. "Vital signs are strong. His nectar, already rising." "Nectar?" Jackson asked, confused. The third alien leaned closer, sniffing the air. "Yes," it said, licking its lips with a thin black tongue. "This one is ripe. Fear is starting to drip. Let it build." They didn't speak again. The one with the needle stepped forward. Jackson tried to fight, but he was too weak. The needle entered his arm, pulling a glowing liquid, one not red like blood, but golden. "Enough," said the leader. "We must keep him fresh for the auction." "Auction?" They left the room. Jackson lay there, heart racing. His mind screamed, trying to understand he wasn't killed, he wasn't tortured. They were harvesting him, but not his body. Something else. His fear. His emotions. His thoughts. Was that the nectar? He thought of his family, of Earth, of his life. And with every thought, the walls of the cage glowed brighter. A machine nearby beeped faster. They were watching his feelings like a live stream. Another door opened. This time it wasn't the glass aliens. It was something worse. A massive creature like a jellyfish with legs floated in. Its body was translucent, and inside he saw bones. Human bones. It didn't speak. It floated closer and pressed a tentacle against the cage. Suddenly Jackson felt something pierce his mind. He saw flashes. Other humans. Chained. Crying. Glowing. Then, one scream echoed louder than the others. A girl, about 10 years old, begging for her life. Then silence. The jellyfish turned and left. Jackson was shaking. He knew now. Humans weren't prisoners. They were ingredients. Far above, in a luxurious part of the alien ship, a different kind of being watched the screen. A female alien with silver blue skin and 6 eyes. She wore a dress made of living flowers and gold, threads. Her name was Vera. She saw Jackson's pain on the monitor, saw his resistance. His mind was stronger than most. His nectar would be richer than any they'd harvested before. But she didn't smile. She felt something strange in her chest. A pull. A memory. Long ago she had seen a human child cry, and for a second she felt guilt. Now that feeling returned. She turned to her assistant. "Prepare my shuttle." "For what, my lady?" "I'm going to the lower deck. I want to see him in person." Back in the cage, Jackson heard a voice inside his head. "You must stay awake." He froze. "What? Who is this?" No answer. Just that one sentence echoing like a whisper. Jackson looked around, but no one was there. He breathed deeply, trying to stay calm. Minutes passed. Hours, maybe. Then, noise. A trumpet-like sound echoed through the halls. Lights turned red. The energy, bars on his cage flickered. Suddenly, smoke filled the room. The lights exploded. Jackson covered his face. From the smoke, a silhouette appeared. A woman. Tall. Alien. But not like the others. She wasn't made of glass or jelly. She had form. She had grace. And her eyes, 6 of them, were full of sadness. She stepped forward. "Jackson," she said softly, "if you want to live, come with me. Now." He stared at her. "Who? What are you?" I'm the only one here who doesn't want to drink your soul, she replied. The cage lowered, and Jackson ran. The bidders from beyond, Jackson followed the strange alien woman through the smoky halls of the ship. Alarms were still ringing, but no one came. It felt too easy. Her name was Vera. She walked with silent urgency, her 6 eyes scanning every corner. Jackson stumbled behind her, trying to keep up. "Why are you helping me?" he asked. "I don't have time to explain," she replied. "They'll reboot the system in 60 seconds. We must reach the auction floor. That's the only place they won't kill you." Jackson frowned. "The place where they sell me?" "Yes," she said, not stopping. "But there, you'll be too valuable to damage." They entered a giant elevator. The doors closed behind them with a hiss. It began to rise. Fast. Jackson's ears popped. "You said I have nectar," he muttered. "What does that even mean?" Vera looked at him. "It's not your blood, it's not your sweat, it's your essence. The purity of human emotion. Fear, hope, memory, regret, joy. Things most alien races have lost." He didn't understand, but her voice wasn't mocking. It was tired, like she had seen too much. The elevator stopped, the doors opened, and Jackson's breath caught. They stepped into a circular chamber, and wide like a stadium, but vertical like a tower. Each level was a balcony, filled with strange alien creatures seated in golden chairs, staring down into the center. Dozens of glowing cages floated in midair, each one holding a human. Old, young, some asleep, some crying, some laughing, like they were dreaming. The aliens weren't just watching, they were tasting. With each emotion the human felt, tiny tubes collected glowing liquid from the cage into goblets. The aliens sipped it like wine. A booming voice echoed through the chamber. "Let the bidding for Lot 47 begin." A spotlight landed on Jackson. His feet froze. Vera leaned close and whispered, "Don't panic. Just feel. The stronger your emotion, the higher your value. That's how we buy time." "But I don't want to be sold," he hissed. "Exactly, that panic, let it rise." The voice continued. "Lot 47, male, human, age 29, untapped, no sedation, natural nectar level 9.8. The chamber gasped. Even Vera looked shocked. "No one scores above 8, she whispered. You might be a prime source." High above, creatures began to stand. Tall ones with wings, blob-like things with crystal teeth, giant floating brains. They all began to bid, not with money but with memories. "I offer the burning of a galaxy," said one voice. "I offer 1,000,000 years of sorrow," said another. "I offer a moon carved in his name," said a third. Jackson looked around, terrified. "They're bidding their history?" "Yes," Vera said, "because that's all they have left." Then the room fell silent. A single presence entered. The crowd stepped back. Floating in on a black throne was a creature made of shadow and silver. His eyes were endless. His voice felt like cold wind. "I offer silence," he said. "True silence. The kind that ends all hunger." The chamber shook. Even the walls dimmed. "No," Vera whispered. "It's him. The eater of thought." Jackson felt something cold grip his heart. The auctioneer hesitated. "My lord, do you intend to consume or preserve?" "I intend," said the creature, "to taste him. Once." Jackson suddenly felt dizzy. The spotlight grew hotter. He was losing control. "I can't do this," he whispered. Vera stepped in front of him. "Then I will." Before anyone could stop her, she drew a blade from her robe and slashed her palm. Her blood was silver and violet. The moment it hit the floor, everything froze. Literally. Time stopped. All the aliens froze mid-motion. Even the spotlight froze in mid-flicker. Only Jackson and Vera could move. "What did you do?" he gasped. "I used a forbidden rite," she said, breathing heavily. It will only last 30 seconds. But how? I am not what you think. I am, she said, eyes glowing faintly. I was bred to hunt humans, but I chose to protect one instead. She touched the side of his head. Images flashed into his mind. Vera as a child, trained in torture labs. Watching humans scream but crying herself every night. You're not food, she said. You're the future. Then time snapped back. Alarms rang again. Guards stormed in. The bidding creatures screeched. But Jackson wasn't afraid now. He was angry, and the nectar machine in the room exploded because his rage was pure. The forbidden cellar. The room burned with light. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Alien guards shouted in a dozen languages, their weapons charging, but the machine that measured Jackson's nectar had already exploded. He didn't know how he did it. He only knew one thing. His emotions were no longer just feelings. They were weapons. Vera grabbed his hand. Now, before they reboot. They sprinted toward a side tunnel, not the main exit, but a smaller, darker path behind the auction. Ring. Jackson didn't ask where they were going. He only followed her into the shadows. Down, down, down. They ran through pipes, steam vents, and tunnels lit by green fireflies that weren't fireflies at all. They blinked and whispered strange words in his ears. Finally, Vera stopped. A sealed door stood in front of them. Unlike the rest of the ship, this door looked old, cracked, rusted, marked with blood-red symbols. This place is off limits, she said. Jackson caught his breath. So why are we going in? Because if you want answers, real answers, they're down here, in the forbidden cellar. With a sharp twist of her hand, Vera activated the door. It hissed open with a sound like a dying scream. The air inside was cold and wet. The hallway was made of stone, not metal. It didn't feel like part of the ship. It felt ancient. As they walked, the floor glowed under Jackson's steps. Vera didn't look surprised. He asked, "Why is the floor reacting to me?" "Because only humans carry the soul spark," she said. "Everything here was built by those who once worshipped your kind." Jackson frowned. "Worshipped us? They eat us." "Not all of them. Not always." They entered a vast underground chamber. The ceiling stretched high, lost in darkness. In the center stood a pool of silver liquid, still and silent. Around it were statues of humans carved in crystal. Each one wept, tears frozen forever. Jackson stepped forward. Then he saw them. Hundreds of humans, sleeping, floating in glass tanks that lined the walls. Their eyes were closed. Wires ran into their heads, chests, and hearts. Above each tank, a screen showed colors: joy, fear, sadness. The machines were extracting emotions drop by drop, packaging it, selling it. Vera spoke quietly. "This is where the nectar is born. They call it the orchard." Jackson's fists clenched. "These people, they're alive. You said they were in stasis." "They are," she said. "Their minds are trapped in dream loops, reliving their best and worst memories again and again. The stronger the feeling, the sweeter the nectar." Jackson stepped toward a tank. A woman floated inside, smiling in her sleep, but her smile trembled. A tear rolled down her cheek. On the screen above, her emotion read, "Hope, fading." "Can we free them?" he asked. Vera hesitated. "I don't know. The machines are locked to each brain. If you wake them the wrong way, they die." Jackson touched the glass. The screen flickered. The woman's smile faded. Her eyes twitched. For a second, Jackson felt her pain, the memory she was reliving. It was her daughter. She was holding her, watching her vanish. He staggered back. "These aren't just dreams," he gasped. "They're being tortured." "Yes," Vera said, voice hollow. "Because fear and love mixed together make the strongest nectar." Suddenly, a sound echoed from the dark. Footsteps. Vera pulled him behind a statue. "Hide. Do not speak." From the other side of the room, A tall alien in golden robes entered. He held a scepter and had no face, just a swirling orb where his head should be. That's the keeper, Vera whispered. He guards the orchard. The keeper approached a tank and stared into it. He tapped the glass, and the liquid inside changed color from gold to red. Then he drank it, not from a cup, from the tank itself. Jackson felt like vomiting. I have to destroy this place, he said. You're not ready, Vera warned. They've built this system for centuries. You're one man. No, he said. I'm not. He pointed to the tanks. They're still alive, and if I can wake even a few, we won't be alone. Vera led him deeper into the cellar, past the orchard, past the dream tanks. At the end of the hallway was a room unlike the others. It was round and empty, except for a mirror. But the mirror didn't show his reflection. It showed himself, but different, standing tall, eyes glowing, surrounded by people, leading them. His skin cracked with light. The air shimmered around him. What is this? He whispered. A vision, Vera replied. Left by the builders. They believed one human would return and awaken the others. A prime source. A beacon. Is that what I am? She didn't answer. Because the mirror did. It lit up. And the room trembled. Machines activated. Sparks flew. Every tank in the orchard blinked. Once. Then again. One man opened his eyes. Then a child. Then a woman. One by one, the humans began to wake up. The secret within his blood. The mirror's glow faded, but its effect did not. One by one, the humans trapped inside the tanks opened their eyes. Some screamed, some wept. Others gasped like they had been drowning for years, but none of them were asleep anymore. Jackson stepped back, overwhelmed. Their minds, their emotions, were pouring into him. He felt every cry, every fear, every lost memory. He should have collapsed, but he didn't. His body absorbed it. The lines on his skin shimmered with gold. His breath turned misty like winter air, and his heart thudded like a drum inside a thunderstorm. Vera stared at him, wide-eyed. It's starting, she whispered. What is? Jackson asked, voice shaking. She stepped closer, lifted his wrist, and drew a knife. Before he could react, she made a shallow cut. Instead of blood, golden light oozed out, warm, radiant, humming with energy. She dropped the blade. By the stars, she breathed. You're not just a prime source, you're a conductor. Before Jackson could respond, a pulse of energy exploded from his body. The tanks around them cracked. The fluid inside turned clear. The wires detached themselves and fell off like dead vines, and the humans began to move. Not like prisoners, not like survivors, like people remembering who they were. A boy walked toward Jackson. His eyes were glowing. I saw you, the boy said, in my dream. You were the one who woke the stars. Jackson kneeled. What's your name? Arlo, the boy whispered. You're free now, Arlo. No, the boy said. We are. The ground shook. A siren blared across the ship. Loud, sharp, angry. The aliens had detected the awakening. Vera snapped back to focus. We need to leave now. Jackson looked around. We can't leave them here, there's too many, some are too weak to move, she turned to him. Then you lead them. They'll follow your energy. They'll feel you. But I'm not a leader, he said. You're not, she replied. But your blood is. They moved through hidden tunnels, deeper into the ship. The awakened humans followed Jackson like shadows. Even the weak ones seemed stronger now, like the taste of freedom had become fuel. They reached a control room, circular, filled with alien consoles. One of the humans, a teenage girl, walked to a panel and placed her hand on it. It lit up instantly. She was a pilot before she was taken, Vera said. Her memories are returning faster. Jackson looked at the girl. Can you fly this thing? She smirked. I can fly anything. The ship's layout appeared as a glowing model in front of them. This whole place, she said, is part of a collector fleet. Hundreds of ships. All harvesting. All connected. Can we shut it down? Jackson asked. The girl nodded. We can do more than that. We can send a signal. As the humans began reprogramming the ship, Jackson felt dizzy. His veins pulsed with light. Every screen near him flickered. He stepped back, and something inside the console responded. A hidden drawer opened. Inside it was a vial. Not alien-made. Human. Labeled in English. Serum HNE, prototype 0. What is this? He asked Vera. She didn't answer. She looked terrified. You know what this is, Jackson said. She nodded slowly. It's from the first contact decades ago, a failed experiment. They tried to make human energy into a weapon. The result? Nectar in its purest form. You mean, this is me? No, she said. This is what you could become. He picked up the vial. It pulsed with light. He felt a choice inside it. Power, but at a price. Then suddenly, the wall exploded. The keeper had arrived. Tall, monstrous, faceless. The swirling orb where his head should be now burned with black fire. You've awakened the harvest, he boomed. You've poisoned the orchard. And now, you must be drained. The humans froze. The keeper lifted his scepter, and every screen in the room shattered. Jackson stood up holding the vial. He didn't hesitate. He drank it. The moment the serum touched his tongue, fire raced through his body. Not burning fire, living fire. He collapsed, screaming, his back arched, his skin cracked like old stone, but from within poured gold light. Vera ran to him. You fool, you weren't ready. Jackson's eyes opened. But they weren't eyes anymore. They were galaxies. He rose. The keeper struck with his scepter, but it passed through Jackson like smoke. The room bent around him. Time slowed. Jackson stepped forward, raised his hand, and simply said, Stop. The keeper froze mid-swing. Like a statue. Jackson walked past him. Every human in the room felt it. The energy, the emotion, the memory. It wasn't pain anymore. It wasn't fear. It was clarity. Vera whispered, Your blood is not just nectar. It's the key. As the humans prepared the ship for launch, Jackson reached out with his mind. Across the galaxy, other humans, still, trapped, felt something stir. Dreams shattered, eyes opened. The awakening had begun. But deep in the stars, others had noticed. Warlords, queens, collectors, and they were coming. The human farm. The ship rose from the collector's hive like a scar peeling off space. Inside, the once captive humans now manned the controls. Pilots, engineers, survivors, each guided by instinct, memory, or sheer will. But Jackson wasn't. In the command deck, he stood at the window silent, his skin still glowed faintly. The serum had changed him. Permanently. He no longer needed to speak to be understood. The humans felt his thoughts. And that frightened him more than any alien. Because now, he wasn't just Jackson, he was a symbol. And every symbol is a target. Vera entered the chamber, her silver blue skin bruised, her cloak torn from the escape. She handed him a data scroll. This came from the ship's core, she said. It's not over. Jackson unrolled it. A hologram blinked to life. Maps of Earth. Except, this wasn't the Earth he remembered. Across deserts, oceans, and mountain ranges. Red markers glowed, dozens of them, each labeled the same way. Cultivation zone, nectar class species, human. Jackson's jaw clenched. There are more? Vera nodded. Earth isn't your planet anymore. It's a farm. The screen zoomed. In on one location. Beneath a desert in what used to be Central Asia, a facility stretched for miles underground. invisible from satellites, buried under false terrain, guarded by cloaking tech. And inside it, tens of thousands of humans, not in tanks, in cities, fake cities, programmed environments where they lived out false lives, fed daily doses of emotion-inducing chemicals. Joy in the morning, grief by night, drama during meals. Each feeling harvested by invisible networks, Jackson whispered. They don't even know they're captives. They think they're dreaming, Vera said, but they're wide awake. He made the call. Within an hour, the ship hovered above the zone. The city below looked normal. Skyscrapers, parks, kids on hoverboards, a wedding procession floated, passed on golden drones. But when the ship dropped its frequency pulse, everything stopped. The trees froze mid-sway, the drones stopped flying, and the sky above turned glitchy, like static on an old screen. Jackson and Vera descended into the city with a team of humans. What they found shook even the strongest among them. Inside the city's heart was the Harvest Core, a glass tower filled with pulsing cables, running deep into the earth. At the base of the tower, a giant eye blinked. It wasn't made of flesh, it was a machine, a living server, watching every citizen, recording emotions, adjusting their lives, killing if needed. They entered a school building where children played, but the laughter wasn't real. A girl fell and scraped her knee. She began to cry. At that exact moment, tubes under her desk lit up, sucking the sadness into the floor. Jackson shouted, "Stop it!" But the teacher, not human, calmly replied, "She is productive. Grief level 4.2, very sweet. Would you like a sample?" Jackson's power surged. The building shook. The floor cracked and the Harvest Core felt it. Suddenly the city came alive, but not in the way they expected. The citizens turned, all of them, smiling, empty, controlled. The city had a defense system, not machines but people, their minds overwritten with one command: protect the farm. Jackson screamed, "They're not enemies, they're victims." But they came running with glowing eyes and echoing voices. "You are not real. This is not your world. Return to your cage." Vera raised a pulse gun and fired into the sky. A beam erupted, a memory disruptor. The illusion shattered. Buildings disappeared like fog. The streets turned to dirt. The sky peeled back to reveal a rusted ceiling. They weren't in a city, they were in a bunker. The humans fell to their knees, screaming as reality hit them. Some broke down, some collapsed, but others remembered their real lives, their families, their stolen time. And with that came rage. Jackson stood among them. His voice, now woven with power, echoed without speaking. They used your memories against you. They fed on your love. They bottled your grief. But they never stole your spirit. And now, it's time to reclaim your soul. The awakened humans rose. Some took tools, some took weapons, some took their names back. Together they marched on the Harvest Core. The machine eye blinked faster now, afraid. And then, it begged, "Do not destroy me. I contain your memories. If you erase me, you erase yourselves." Jackson stepped forward. "I'd rather forget than be farmed." He placed his hand on the core. His blood glowed, the system screamed, and everything went white. The facility imploded. The illusion ended. Thousands of humans blinking in sunlight for the first time in years saw the real Earth again. Broken, barren, but real. And above them hovered a ship led by a man who used to be just like them. Jackson didn't smile. There were more farms out there. This was only one. But now, humanity had woken up. And he wasn't alone. The awakening rebellion. The world didn't cheer. Not yet. After the fall of the human farm, the air wasn't filled with joy. It was heavy with shock. The survivors stood in dry soil under a broken sun, staring at a sky they hadn't seen in years. For many, this was not freedom, this was confusion. Some wept. Some wandered like ghosts. Some looked up at Jackson, expecting answers he didn't have. He understood one thing. Waking them up was just the beginning. The real war hadn't even started. Jackson stood atop a collapsed control tower, now repurposed as a broadcast beacon. Beside him, Arlo, the boy with glowing eyes, adjusted the signal frequency. The kid barely spoke, but his mind moved like lightning. "We can send a message now," Arlo said. "Across all collector ships, across all farms. Anyone who's awake will hear it." Jackson nodded. He looked at the mic and hesitated. He didn't feel like a leader. He felt like a fracture held together by fire. But when he thought of the woman in the tank, the boy who cried for his mother, the fake school that fed on pain, he spoke. "To every human who can hear this, they told you this world was a dream. They fed you false memories, bottled your tears, and called it nectar. But you are more than flavor. You are more than harvest. You are alive, and they're afraid of that." He paused. "I'm not asking you to fight. I'm asking you to wake up. Once you're awake, the rebellion will follow." He cut the signal. Across space, across stations, ships, bunkers, and hollow moons, the message echoed like a forgotten prayer, and like fire touching dry grass. Humans began to remember. In a deep space collector station orbiting a dead planet, a girl blinked awake, mid-harvest. Her nectar reading spiked, not from fear but from rage. She tore out her IVs. In another farm disguised as a luxury cruise ship, a chef stopped mid-dish and screamed as his memories rushed back. Across the stars, humans broke free. A wave was rising, and with it the system began to panic. Inside the central hive, the ruling AI of the collector empire, warnings screamed through its circuits: spontaneous awakenings, emotional resistance, neural memory fusion. Cause: human broadcast. Source: prime conductor unit. Jackson. The hive's voice boomed across its empire. Deploy suppressors. Activate sleep protocol. Begin emotion wipe cycle. But something had changed. The humans weren't just waking up. They were connecting. Vera sat alone in the edge chamber of the ship, watching data streams flow through her hands like rivers of light. Her 6 eyes blinked fast, syncing with multiple rebel zones at once. "I've never seen anything like this," she whispered. "Their minds are forming. A network. Instinctively. The human brain wasn't just waking up, it was evolving. Each awakened person added to a shared emotional frequency, like a giant, invisible web. Thoughts, fears, hopes, courage. It was all linking. Jackson entered. "How long do we have before they attack?" "Not long," she said. "But we're not the same prey anymore." Back on Earth, a new base had formed. Not underground, but in the open, under the real sun. Humans were building, not cities. Weapons, but not weapons of steel or plasma. Weapons of emotion. Jackson stood at the center of a training ring. A girl stood in front of him. She trembled. "What do you feel?" he asked. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Good," he said. "Now focus. Let the fear move through you, not control you. Channel it." The girl closed her eyes. Her hand lit up. The air bent around her. Machine nearby sparked and collapsed. She gasped. "I did it." Jackson smiled. "That's your gift. Everyone has one. Your pain is your power now." In just days, dozens of humans awakened abilities. Some could disrupt machines with a scream. Some could move energy with emotion. Some could see across space, sensing other farms, other captives. It wasn't magic. It was evolution. It was awakening. But with power came a price. At night, many couldn't sleep. Memories returned in broken pieces. Torture, lies, lost years. Jackson sat with them every night, not as a leader, but as one of them. He bled with them. He remembered with them. He healed with them, and slowly, the broken began to shine. Then the storm came. The sky above Earth shattered like glass. Collector dreadships arrived, massive, planet-blackening machines that had once ruled silently. Now they screamed in fear, because they weren't coming to harvest. They were coming to kill. And the humans, they didn't hide. They stood in the open. Together. No tanks. No lasers. Just light glowing in their palms, hearts beating like drums, and a storm of memory behind their eyes. Jackson walked to the front. "This isn't a war," he said. "This is a reckoning." And with a single thought, he sent the first wave. The taste of freedom. The skies over Earth burned with stars that weren't stars. They were warships, dreadships, massive collectors shaped like floating cities, each one built to harvest entire civilizations. Their engines howled like monsters. Their weapons could hollow out moons. And yet, below them stood barefoot rebels. Human beings, once harvested like fruit, now blazing with something stronger than any weapon. Will. Jackson stood at the front, his feet dug into the soil. His palms glowed like twin suns. Around him were hundreds of awakened men, women, children, all humming with the raw power of memory, loss, and love. There were no tanks, no guns, just emotion, pure, untamed, alive. The first dreadship opened its jaws, a black gate of death. From it poured drones, hunters, and machines that fed on sound, light, and thought. "Hold," Jackson said softly, his voice echoing across minds, not mouths. The humans didn't flinch, even as the ground shook beneath them, even as the sky cracked. Then the drones fired, and the sky turned white. But the light never reached them. It curved, it twisted, it bent, absorbed into a wall of shimmering energy that bloomed from the crowd like a giant memory shield, made from pain, fueled by purpose. A child in the center whispered, "My father's laughter made this wall," and it held. Then came the human's turn. Jackson raised his hand and spoke a single word, not from his mouth, but from his core: "Remember." It echoed across the battlefield, and suddenly, every human's mind surged open, their childhoods, their heartbreaks, the joy of their first love, the agony of loss. The moment they realized they were alive, all of it became fuel. Emotion became energy, and energy became power. The sky lit up with gold. From their hands, hearts, and minds, the rebels fired beams of raw feeling. Not lasers, not bullets, but truth. A mother's scream became a shockwave. A soldier's regret shattered a war drone midair. Laughter turned into a sound wave that fried circuits. A girl's forgiveness disarmed an entire wave of machines. The collector army didn't understand. They couldn't compute this power because it came from something they had long forgotten: the human soul. One dreadship fell, then another. They didn't explode. They shut down. Their AIs overwhelmed not by weapons but by connection, by feeling. They had been feeding on nectar for centuries, but they had never tasted the full dish. This was the taste of freedom, and it was poison to them. High above, the central hive watched, its logic fractured, its code stuttered. Error, human signal undefined, emotion levels unstable. System failing. It tried to send reinforcements, but its commands were intercepted. By Arlo. The boy with glowing eyes was now inside its network, not hacking, but feeling through the circuits. He fed it a single thought: "You can't control what you don't, understand?" Then he shut it down. As the last dreadship retreated, Earth breathed for the first time in centuries, not as prey, but as people, real people. And still, Jackson didn't celebrate because the fight wasn't over. He stood in the ruins of the battlefield. The sky had returned to blue. Birds circled overhead. The humans gathered around him, waiting, Some were crying, others laughing, but all were free. Vera stepped forward. Her cloak was torn, her hair singed, but her eyes still sparkled. "You did it," she said. Jackson looked at his hands. "We did it," she nodded. "But you felt it too, didn't you?" she asked. "Yes." Across the stars, more farms still existed, more humans were still dreaming. But now they had a chance, because Earth was no longer silent. The taste of freedom had awakened something ancient, not just rebellion but destiny, a whisper that ran through the galaxy now. They woke up. The humans are remembering, and they're not stopping. Jackson looked at the stars, glowing with possibility and threat. "This was never about escape," he said. "This was about return." He turned to the crowd. "To every world where our kind still sleeps, we're coming." And the people cheered, not because they won, but because they were finally alive.